So to move on to NFL, there's some training camp stories going on right now.
Yeah.
The Knicks boy, Zach Wilson, finally signed. And you want to get into that because you were talking about the agent before.
Yeah. So apparently his agent is the same agent that Nick Bosa had. What was his name again, T?
Oh, 1 second.
While you're looking that up. So apparently Nick Bosa held out for the exact same reason. This agent wants to be the guy that doesn't have that compensant, what's it called? Comp money.
Okay.
Built into contracts. That's his MO. Like, I am going to be the agent that makes sure you don't have comp money.
Yeah, his name is Brian Aralt.
Yeah. So that's the guy, all right? And that's his MO. And he has not been successful. Nick Bosa fired his ass because he kept him out of training camp for 3 weeks. And ultimately, Zach Wilson didn't get it either. He still has comp money in his contract as well. The only difference is that he got his bonus money up front. But the whole point that this agent wants to exist in order to stop people from getting that whole compensatory money built in, that thing built in. Basically, the clause that says that if you cut me and I sign somewhere else, the new team has to pay my remainder, as opposed to where it's if you cut me, I get this, and then the new as opposed to like if that verbiage is not in his contract, if you cut me and a new team signs me, you owe me the rest of my contract and they owe me my new contract so I could double dip.
I got you.
So he wants to be the agent to eliminate that, and he has failed twice to the point where he's been fired once. Yeah. Why this guy's getting a job still, I have no idea. All he's doing is making enemies. And he's not Drew Rosenhaus.
No, but I also feel like that's like a team thing too, to protect the team. Like
30 out of 32 teams have that in every contract they write.
Which makes sense, because why the hell would you want to pay and then have the guy double dip? I think it's also probably some sort of NFL protection probably told him to start doing that too, right?
I mean,
something in there.
Listen, the NFL has the weakest players union in any league.
Which that's gonna fuck us all as fans, because they're gonna, go for a strike soon.
They're gonna do it, and they're still gonna lose because the players are not smart with their money. The players are not smart in general, for the most part. And NFL players are probably, of all the sports, the most foolish of the sports, because they play football in the first place, which is a terribly dangerous sport, and your shelf life is extremely short.
Right.
There's nobody playing football 20 years anymore. Shoot, the few people that played for like 15 years are few and far between.
Unless people are usually quarterbacks.
And the position players are what? Emmitt Smith and Jerry Rice, Tim Brown. That's it.
Yeah.
How
long did Ed Reed play for? He was a safety for a while. He probably didn't pay.
Probably like 12 years.
Yeah, so not even him as a
but you're looking at NBA players and MLB players and hockey players. I mean, I'm pretty sure Jaromir Jagr is playing somewhere right now.
I also feel like the NBA, just starting to get off topic, but the NBA they've raised that salary cap, and the NBA has a ton of money. The NBA is like great for international, so I feel like those players eventually are going to get. Those guys are getting deals. Like Tim Hardaway Jr. just signed another deal, like $70 million, and he's made over $150 million in playing, and he's like a decent player. He's not like a top name. You wouldn't expect Tim Hardaway Jr. to get $150 million, but because the NBA makes that money,
rosters are really small in the NBA too.
Well, that too, but I mean,
but yeah. So Zach Wilson signs. That's great. His agent needs to go. I already don't like the guy. His MO is he's failed already. He got fired once trying to do what he's doing, and then he didn't get what he wanted doing it again. All he got was his player a bad rap for 2 days, and that's not good, especially in New York.
No.
So
I will say this: the picture of Zach Wilson signing the deal. Did you see that? The Jets.
He's so handsome.
He looks like a child. Someone posted it was a Photoshop of him on like Common Core math, 6th grade. Another person said looks like the guy who gives you the campus tour when you go to visit college.
Did you
the hype man? The college hype man?
Did you see today when he came out onto the field? Some fan screamed out, "Zach, you're such an attractive young man." And even he started laughing.
That dude's wearing a trench coat and black socks. There's a mustache.
That guy's arrested. He's already been banned from Jets.
Definitely. He showed up in a van that said free candy.
But let's get into some injuries. NFL.
Yeah,
Carson Wentz down, broken foot.
Carson Wentz. This is a big one because I said this from the beginning. When
North Dakota State, baby.
We talked about the NFL draft. I had said Sam Erlinger was going to be the starter of the Colts. He's probably not going to start still because they have I got his name, but there's a second string quarterback there. But I had said Carson Wentz is just not a good quarterback, one. And two, he's just made of glass. He's the real life version of Mr. Glass from Unbreakable. Like he is just he can't stay healthy.
Or from glass.
Was it?
Or from glass.
Well, yeah, he's a glass too, but you know what I'm talking about. But it was a spring camp, no contact, and he break his foot?
Broke his foot. He's out 12 weeks.
No, he's out. This is an outrageous thing too as well that drove me nuts. Is he's out 5 to 12 weeks. Can you just say he's out 1 to 12 weeks? Like, just what is it? That's a huge range. It's a month.
If you would have said 9 to 12 weeks
or 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah, 9 to 12, even 8 to 12, I'll take.
8 to 12.
5 to 12? He's
2 to 3 months,
or he's out 3 months of the season. Like a month we could deal with because that's a month. The season starts in September. A month is fine. 3 months is you're going into November and you're halfway through your season. We're not just starting quarterback. Yeah. So where's this injury?
So the conversation is Nick Foles or Marcus Mariota.
I always like Nick Foles. I mean, when they moved away from Foles and went with Wentz after fucking Foles, got them the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
I mean, then they move away from him. I thought that was outrageous.
I thought that was disrespectful. I mean, name me the other Eagles quarterback that won them a Super Bowl.
We'll wait.
You know?
Oh, wait.
It's not like they had bad quarterbacks forever. They had Donovan McNabb. They had Michael Vick for a second. They had Ron Jaworski. They didn't have fucking bums for always.
Nope.
So here's the reason why I think it will be Nick Foles as opposed to Marcus Mariota. It's Frank Reich is the head coach, and Frank Reich was the offensive coordinator on the Eagles team that won the Super Bowl with Nick Foles.
So I think it's going to be Foles too.
That's what I'm going to say.
Over Mariota, just because Foles is number 3 on his depth chart, and Mariota is number 2. So if you're trading for Mariota, he's going to cost a lot more than Nick Foles is.
I think Foles is a better all-around player than Mariota. Not against Mariota. I mean, the guy's talented, but I just think that Foles as a quarterback is the complete package. He knows what he's doing back there, and he shows it. The movement. They got a little
competition for Foles though, because the Jets want Foles too.
Right.
So we'll see if that drives up the price. The Jets have they definitely have the draft capital to get him.
Yeah.
So we'll see where that ends up, and it might end up being that Foles just gets cut, and that might be the waiting game right now. That might be that the Colts and the Jets are just sitting there going, we know the Bears can't sit there and carry Fields. Who's the starter right now?
Well, they haven't named one, but it's Fields, Dalton.
They're not going to carry Fields, Dalton, and Foles. It's not going to happen. So either Dalton or Foles is getting cut. All we have to do is sit here and wait.
I think they're going to go with Dalton over – I mean, not Dalton over Fields, but Dalton over Foles. Like, if you don't want to give Fields –
Dalton's making more money. Dalton's making more money. They have to keep Dalton. If they cut Dalton, it costs more money to cut Dalton than to keep Fields.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So I think Dalton's going to stay. Foles will be cut. And I don't know between the Bears' starting jobs whether it's going to be give Fields some time to get used to the NFL or give him right out the bat. Just let
if I had to put money down, I'd say they're going to let him sit down for a little bit. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, I agree. I
think that's good.
You don't want to ruin your you have your first round draft pick. You traded up to get him. You gave up a first round draft pick next year as well. And
I wish the Jets would find somebody that was worth starting right now to let Zach Wilson ride the bench for a season.
I agree.
Or 3/4 of a season or something.
Let them learn.
Let them see how bad it looks. And that was Sam Darnold's problem, was that he didn't get to sit the bench.
Nah. And I like Fields. I think he's going to be a good pro. I think if the Bears take care of him, they give him to let Dalton start for a little bit, give him some time.
Right, but it's all about what Dalton's going to bring to the Bears and, how far essentially he's going to get into the season. Minus injury, just what you're going to get out of him until, the Bears as a fan base are a pretty rowdy bunch until they start telling them put Fields on the field.
Yeah, I agree. I'm sure that's where
again, I think as fans, as a league, the NFL has gotten away from clipboard time. And Brett Favre carried a clipboard. Aaron Rodgers carried a clipboard. Eli Manning carried a clipboard for Kurt Warner.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with Michael Vick carried a clipboard. Who was the quarterback when Michael Vick? Redmond, something like that?
Philip Rivers carried a clipboard.
Philip Rivers carried a clipboard for Drew Brees. Jameis Winston, I think you're going to see a huge jump from him carrying a clipboard last year for Drew Brees. Just listening to Jameis Winston speak the past 3 days, it's like, you guys know I'm a huge Florida State fan.
Yeah.
It's a different person. It doesn't sound like the guy that I watched win a national championship. The maturity and professionalism that came out of his mouth the other day, I was like, he's finally talking like he went to college. He was always a smart kid. He just never conveyed that toward the public.
Well, not when you're stealing crabs.
He was too busy being real.
Yeah. Not when you're
as opposed to being professional.
Stealing some crab legs from campus.
Come on. He didn't steal crab legs.
I will say, if he doesn't start this year, I actually would be kind of annoyed for him because I feel like, what's his name? Taysom Hill? Like, he's a Swiss Army knife. Like, there's not a guy you should be starting at quarterback. Like, I feel like Jameis Winston, he has the arm, he has the production. You saw it. Granted, he threw, 30 touchdowns, 30 receptions the same year. But he also threw for, 5,000 yards.
He led the league in yards. You know what's crazy is, what happened after that season, right?
They traded him.
He got LASIK.
Oh, yeah, try after that season. Yeah, I remember that.
He got LASIK. Yeah. And they're like, maybe he was throwing all his interceptions because he can't see straight.
Yeah.
The old Ricky Vaughn?
Yeah, basically. But, yeah, Jameis Winston, I think, is a good – I think he's still a good pro. I think sitting out last year watching Drew Brees, I just hope Sean Payton makes the right decision and actually lets him play.
He might have gotten the Willie Beeman. I learned more from Cap Rooney in that first half than I did in 8 years, and maybe watching Drew all last season, maybe that was eye-opening. Mm-hmm. And he said so many complimentary things about Drew Brees, who obviously has earned it as a player in the league and for the Saints. I hope that Jameis, being a Florida State fan and watching this kid grow from a teenager to now he's 27, I hope that he's the starter and I hope that he succeeds in the league.
Yeah, same here.
I hope he doesn't beat my team, but I hope he succeeds.
All right, well, moving on from the Jets and the Saints and the injuries, moving on to my New York Giants, who have had some controversy at camp the last 2 days. Actually, that's 3 days.
Since last week, going back to Thursday or Wednesday?
The last 2 days, there was something. Last Wednesday, they cut Kelvin Benjamin because they caught him stealing food.
So, no, that's not what happened. That was a joke.
That
was a joke. So, the reason that they cut Kelvin Benjamin
bastard
was because he showed up to camp overweight.
Oh.
All right. So, Kelvin Benjamin showed up to camp in the spring at 263 pounds. All right. Joe Judge said, I want you to come back at 251 or 253 or something like that. He showed back up at 268. All right. So what happened was, normally, if a player is going to be disciplined, a coach pulls them into a room and says, listen, you're going to be fined X amount of dollars because you broke these team rules. Don't let it happen again. Joe Judge decided to say, listen here, you little fat motherfucker, we're fining you money. And Kelvin Benjamin took exception to that and was like, who the fuck do you think you're talking to? And that's where they got into a fight in the middle of the field in front of the press. And the press were like, Kelvin Benjamin and Joe Judge are screaming at each other right now. We don't know why.
But also Dave Gettleman was too.
So Dave Gettleman drafted Kelvin Benjamin when he was with the Panthers.
Yeah.
So he went in and he tried to calm the situation down because he was like, guys, there's people watching us. When Kelvin Benjamin walked away, basically he was saying, fuck this coach. I'm a grown-ass man. I'm not going to have this guy who never won nothing in this league start screaming and cussing me out in front of the media, calling me names or whatever it is, telling me I'm like whatever. And then Dave Gettleman basically walked over to Benjamin in the locker room with a look on his face like, we're releasing you. Kelvin Benjamin at that point was like, you're releasing me. Got it. Whatever. Goodbye. I'm out.
So I'm actually mad that it wasn't because he stole food.
So the question I have for you guys is, was Judge wrong? By the way, I want to say I hate Joe Judge.
No, you don't like Joe Judge. I like Joe Judge.
No, I'll tell you why I hate Joe Judge. Have I told you why?
You want to talk about Aaron Judge? You did, yeah. You talked about this before.
Because whenever I'm on my app and it pulls news about the Yankees, I get constant crap about the Giants, which I could not care less about their wannabe Eli Manning quarterback and their coach, who has a same last name as a good player in the MLB. And it irritates me that Giants news pops up on my Yankee feed.
Yeah, I remember you told me.
Other than that, I really don't have any care whatsoever about Joe
Judge. Joe Judge is one of those guys that is going to be like a Tom Coughlin. He's going to yell. He's going to scream. He's going to be mad at players for what they do. So the way he did that, obviously, I don't agree with it. I don't think it's the best way to go about yelling at somebody and doing that in front of everyone when you could just pull them to a room and just be like, you're not doing what we want you to do. Your time here is not going to be long. Fix it up, clean it up, or you're getting out the door. Like, that's what you got to do. And do it in private. Don't do it publicly. But Joe Judge is one of those guys. So when I'm saying there was controversy the last 2 days was yesterday at Giants training camp. They had the coaches, while they were doing a practice run, the defense messed up with a substitution change. And he made the coaches and the defense take a lap. So, like, it's not even that you're, like, yelling at the players at this point. Now you're, like, yelling at your own coaches and making them run. And they fucking do it.
Did he take the lap too?
He did take a lap. Because
I got news for you. He's the head coach, and I understand what he's trying to say. When they fail, it's because of him. So he should be on that lap too. Yeah,
obviously. But so what he basically is like, he's like Will Ferrell in Kicking and Screaming. You guys ever seen the movie?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Where they're at practice and he's just blowing the whistle. He's like, take a lap.
No,
take a lap.
He's trying to
the parents do a lap.
He's trying to channel his, Herb Brooks, but the difference between him and Herb Brooks
he's trying to channel his Bill Parcells.
Yeah,
that's because he's a Parcells guy.
Listen, you got to earn that respect to be able to do shit like that, and he hasn't earned shit, and he's a nobody. And I mean, listen, you want to ream out a guy in private, you can ream out a guy in private. It's just you and that guy, and you're going to share words, and you're not showing each other up because it's only you two and God to hear, and that's it. But you're going to ream somebody out in front of everybody else. Now you challenge somebody as a person, and you get to a point where, yeah, you're the coach and I have respect for you, but I got more respect for myself. Who the hell do you think you're talking to?
Right. I'll say this as a person, and T, you might be able to relate because you're a supervisor at your job. As a person in a leadership role at my job, I learned when I was very young that if somebody's not doing well, as angry as you may be, or whatever your personality may be, attacking them is not always the right answer because you attract more flies with honey than vinegar. And I'll give an example. One day I was having a bad day, wasn't succeeding in whatever I was doing that day. I'm not going to get into the full details about it. And I threw a temper tantrum and nobody said anything to me. I went about my day. I was sitting down. I was eating later in the day. And one of the senior guys walked over, asked if he could sit next to me. Now, I know this guy because he's a senior person, right? I do not work with this person. He outranks me. I know him because he's up there. I don't expect him to know me because I'm down there. It would be like if I worked at Google and I'm an intern and Sergey Brinson came over to come talk to me. Like, I'd be like, oh, I know who you are, but I don't expect it. And he came over and he goes, you really disappoint me out there today. And I was like, excuse me? And he was like, yeah, because you did X, Y, Z. And, I thought you were really good and you disappointed me. And now I'm starting to think, do I know how to properly evaluate people? Maybe I need to retire because I thought you were up here and you're showing me that you're down here. And I'm a little upset. And I honestly was so taken aback that I was like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it won't happen again. I apologize. If he would have yelled at me in the moment when I was upset, he would have yelled at me and I would have sat there and took it. But in my head, I would have been like, yo, fuck you. Like, get out of my face. I'm upset right now. Get out of my I don't give a fuck. I'd have sat there and you'd have seen me and my face would have been like, But if you could read my mind, I'd be looking through him like, fuck you. I don't give a fuck what you got to say. And anything he would have said to me right then and there would have been through. And it had zero effect on anything. He would have corrected that action, but I would have hated him forever. And to this day, I have fond memories about him. And I learned a valuable lesson that you don't have to yell to get your point across, to teach. You don't have to yell. When I only yell at work now when there's a disrespect issue or a safety issue. Safety, obviously, because somebody could get hurt. Disrespect, because I'm not going to tolerate that. And as a man, nobody's going to disrespect me. Those are the only times I yell. When you make a mistake, I don't yell at anybody because I know that they're going to turn their brain off and they're going to say, okay. But in their head, they're thinking, fuck you. And that's what happened with Joe Judge. And you're right, T. All these Parcells disciples, all these Bill Belichick disciples, they think they can leave those ways of doing things, go to a team that they have veterans and treat them like they're rookies. Right. You can only do that if you have a team full of rookies. When you got people that have already made Pro Bowls, if you got people that have already caught 1,000 yards, if you got people that already rushed for 1,000 yards, and you think you're going to treat them like they're nobodies, and you're really a nobody because you were an offensive coordinator, Crozier, the year before, or a defensive coordinator or a college coach the year before. Yeah. Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick only got away with that stuff because they had very young teams. And they had built respect through the league already. Yeah, Nick. So what I'm trying to say is, with Joe Judge, he came from Belichick's, tree. So he thinks that he can get that same respect. He can't. But he can't because Joe Judge. I like him. I think he's a good coach, but he's not Bill Belichick yet. You got to do what Bill Belichick has to do that same shit. You got to win. Just win, baby. He's probably making the fans in the fucking stands that are watching practice take fucking laps at this point. On top of the fact that not to sing praises to Bill Belichick, but if you see his interactions with his team and with other players on the field, he's not the same guy in the media. I was just watching a video the other day that Ocho Cinco shared where he walked up to Chad Ochocinco and was like, I'm just letting you know we're double covering you all game. And he's like, oh, come on, coach. He's like, nah. He goes, I'm not going to watch you walk in that end zone with the ball. Sorry, pal. Double coverage all game. And he's smiling while he tells him that, but it's you got to have a rapport with the guys before you can act a certain way. Mm-hmm. And I agree. If you're going to get loud, I mean, at least what I do, if I'm going to get loud, it's to make a point and make it fast. In a situation that's not escalated, I'm escalating it to this is what we need to do. That's it. There's no conversation. This is what we're doing. But if there's a situation that's already becoming heated, my job as a supervisor is to de-escalate it, figure out a solution, and that's it. Let's move forward, boys. What's going on? Let's figure it out. And the crazy part was that Benjamin said that he was like, Joe Judge was antagonizing me. He was trying to escalate the situation. And that's not what leaders do. So also the thing was happening today was that they all got into a big fight. I think it was who they said, Logan Ryan and Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram after the play was already dead. So I think Logan Ryan hit somebody late. Evan Ingram took exception to it and hit Ryan. No, he hit Evan Ingram late, and then Evan Ingram punched him. Okay. Then that started the big fight. Then they had the big pile up, and then I don't know how the hell it happened, but Daniel Jones ended up. He jumped in. He jumped in trying to pull people off. He got in the bottom of it, which obviously you don't want your starting quarterback, even if it is Daniel Jones, to get at the bottom of the fucking pile up. You don't walk into a land of monsters, boy. Yeah, and then Joe Judge lost his shit, they said. Which at this point, I think it's earned because you can't have your fucking guys fighting each other. But that happens every football camp. I agree. That happens every football. Like Rex Ryan used to have drills about what to do when somebody gets into a fight. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's simple. It's simple. You don't flip shit. You don't go nuts. You sit those two guys down that wanted to start the problem. You say hit drills. You sit them down. Sit down. You go have a bottle of water. Everybody else start running. I'll let you know when to stop. Well, that's kind of what he did. No, you let them sit there, and now everybody on the team hates you. I wouldn't even go that far because you don't need that. You don't need that. What you need to do is, listen, you got animosity right now, hit drills. We'll do hit drills all day long, guys. That's it. You too. Go ahead. Look, in my place, if I got two soldiers that want to fight, let them fight. Put gloves on, and you're going to fight. There's going to be rules about how you fight. We're not going to talk about this after the fact, but you're going to fight. We're going to throw some gloves on. We're going to go down to the gym. You're going to throw around some – you want to fight? We can fight all day. Let's go. We can fight. So you're tired or I'm tired, but we're not going to talk about it after. We're going to be done with this, and we're going to deal with it. That's it. That's it. We're just going to have a good day about it. That's all. I'm not going to allow that to stew, and I'm not going to punish everybody else for trying to stop the situation and it got out of hand. Because ultimately, like, I loved Rex Ryan's his edict about fighting. Don't pull your own teammates off of the guy they're fighting. Pull their teammates off. Because what happens? TJ and Anthony get into a fight. I go to pull TJ off because TJ is my friend. Now I'm holding TJ back. Anthony punches TJ in the face while I'm holding him.
Yeah.
So Rex Ryan used to be like, no, grab the other team's players off the pile. That way our guy gets the last punch in there. Listen, it's competition like that. Physical competition will always, always, always create fights. Always. But just because there's a fight doesn't mean you hate each other. Or there's animosity. It's just in the heat of the moment. You get, damn it, Banks. Like you just get into a fight,
Listen, when you're playing a physical sport and you're getting physical with each other,
yeah.
Everybody out there is an alpha male. Every single person out there is an alpha male.
Except for the kicker.
So the funny thing is, it was the first padded practice. So it was the first time they were wearing pads. So I feel like everyone was just amped up. Just ready
that's all.
Because all the new rules.
Listen, nobody's trying to hurt each other.
Well, the new rules, though, they're mostly in shorts till, now. They've been in practice for 2 or 3 weeks now already, I will say this is a shout out to my brother Dave. His joke was that Daniel Jones is the multiverse version of Eli Manning. Because
looks nothing like Eli Manning. Everybody always says that.
But the multiverse, the multiverse, they don't have to look alike. They get, like they said, MCU, they're gonna come in with
where he's an extremely subpar quarterback, but gets to start anyway.
Yeah.
Listen, Eli Manning was vanilla. He's vanilla.
That's what I was trying to say. They're both the same fucking person, but
generic. They're the Cody Rhodes of freaking NFL.
They're saltine crackers without salt.
Yeah, basically.
But talking about injuries. To talk about more about injuries,
yeah, go ahead.
Cameron Clark had a spinal contusion today and got taken off the practice field today in a stretcher. Luckily, his father, put out information that he's going to make a full recovery. But thoughts and prayers with Cameron Clark from the New York Jets and his family. You never want to see anybody get hurt at practice. You don't want to see people get hurt. It's even worse when it literally for nothing for practice. That's just the worst thing that you could ever happen to you. And also from I believe it was the Carolina Panthers.
So Panthers wide receiver Keith Kirkwood was taken out by an undrafted safety JT Ebe. I don't know if I pronounced his name right, but JT Ebe was eventually cut immediately after the practice. And Keith Kirkwood was actually had to be carted off on an ambulance and a backboard because he was completely out. It was a hit to the head. After the play. I'm watching it now. Actually, it was kind of dirty because he dropped the pass already. Someone's already around him. He's coming down, and then he just throws a fucking shoulder into his head, which is just not necessary, especially at practice in the same team. You do not need to throw those hits. You don't even throw those hits in a real game. You get thrown out with that shit too now. I mean,
yeah. So the good news is that Kirkwood was moving his arms and legs. So that's luckily for him. But thoughts and prayers out to him as well. You don't want people getting hurt in practice. In games, it sucks. It's somewhat acceptable because at least they're trying to achieve something. In practice, you're just conditioning. And you never want to get hurt in practice. It's like hitting a home run in practice. Who gives a shit? It means nothing, so getting hurt in practice is absolutely terrible. Our thoughts are with those guys, and we hope that making full recovery somewhere in the world, and we'll hope to see them play this season.
Stay rock.